Hey there, hope all is well. Got a quick thought I want to share with you briefly. And as you can tell from the title, it happens to be about the pension situation, the looming crisis. And so I got an article I want to share with you that I posted on the RTD blog. But what really triggered the thought was this morning, I was at breakfast and surrounded by a lot of the older population, a lot of baby boomers. So I'm currently in like a little resort area where there's a lot of retirees that live here and people just on vacation, basically. And just being around a lot of individuals that are a lot older got me to thinking about what's currently underway and what they themselves may not even be aware of. And so this article here I came across, and I actually meant to share it yesterday, but didn't get a chance to. But it happens to be about what's forecasted based upon a recent survey done by the G30 or the Group of 30, which happened to be a group of former central bankers and people of status. And so basically what they've done is they've assessed the current financial problems the world's having, and they give their thoughts and ideas and solutions as to how they can try to resolve or to keep this whole pension crisis from becoming more of a problem. And so I'll actually thumb through the video in a minute, but just sitting around thinking, I was actually talking to my wife, and she was just, we're going back and forth, and she was telling me how her driver yesterday, with a Lyft driver, is a gentleman that's recently retired. And so he retired not long ago, and he started driving with Lyft as a way of just doing something because he said he was bored, as well as the fact that he wanted to make some money. And a part of this whole pension crisis or retirement crisis that's currently underway now, which will definitely get worse heading into 2020 and beyond, is the fact that a lot of people don't understand that even of the people who have done what they were supposed to do as far as being responsible, they're either sitting on funds or there's funds setting aside that they're anticipating on being able to withdraw from. And as I'm going to show you in this article here, some of the suggestions that were given by those former bankers or whatnot, that's part of that little group. And it's a part of a 75-page paper that they released. And they're talking about basically the best way possibly for some retirees to actually receive what they are owed is by reducing their monthly benefit payouts from around 75% or whatnot down to 60. And they're talking about raising the age, they're talking about taxing the younger generation more, and all those strategies and solutions they're going to roll out. But unfortunately, they won't work just because it goes a lot deeper than the fact that the financial system itself is going to be the primary catalyst, and then it's going to be the currencies around the world that will be the true trigger for the most part. It's going to be the reason why there will be a great default like never before. But one of the things is all the people who have done what they've been told to do, and they're currently starting to enjoy or currently enjoying their retirement years. When my wife told me about the gentleman being bored, I'm thinking like he spent 30, 40, how many every years doing his best, growing, and he's sitting on his 401k, as he mentioned, is that he was telling her a little bit of a story. I'll give you the rundown. But basically, he was saying that he started driving because he was bored, but B, he needed some supplement income. And he was saying he makes maybe on a good day, $400 to $500 a day, a full day at that. And he mentioned that he needed some denture work and whatnot, and he needed to pay for that. And I'm thinking like, man, like, not only did he work a good portion of his life to save up for these days, but now even in this current time frame, there's still not enough to be able to withdraw to get the full dental work that he plans on getting and still have enough left over to suppose to grow and be able to last him the remainder of his life. So it really got me thinking about how no matter how prepared you are, you still can never be truly prepared because you don't know the length of your life. Nevertheless, all that's subject to the economic environment we're in, monetary policy that's going to be a problem, as well as just your overall health. So it really got me to thinking about how prepared but yet unprepared a person can be in their retirement age, especially hearing that story from my wife earlier. But article here, 15.8 trillion looming crisis, and that's forecasted. That's another thing. They're saying between now and 2050, they're anticipating 15.8, and I'm thinking like that's mild in comparison to the problems we're going to have. That's not even really mentioned in the article as far as the possibility and the likelihood of a recession that will borderline be a depression, which will definitely turn that 15.8 into something a lot more, probably before 2030, in my personal opinion. But with that being the case, I'm going to thumb through the article along with you guys and share some of my thoughts with it. And then also I'll put the link to the article that I posted on the blog here so that you can find more about it. But takeaway is they're giving you numbers. 15.8 trillion is what they're forecasting. And as of 2018, according to the article, there's a shortfall of about 1.8 or so trillion. And they're saying worldwide, but I'm assuming that those numbers are very nice in comparison to what they probably really are. Because once again, this is a group of bankers and they're not going to really say the full-fledged truth. But I'm going to thumb through this article. And basically, as you can see here, it says 15.8 pension crisis looms worldwide, and it will only get worse. And I'll thumb through it and so give you an idea what's going on here. But it talks about the U.S. and China and other leading economies confront a massive funding gap of 15.8 trillion in 2050. Once again, 2050, that's too far in the future for them to be concerned with the issue that's happening today. And it talks about just give you some of the groundwork of it. And it says that that's according to a report spearheaded by former UK Financial Services Authority member chairman Admir Turner for the prestigious Group of 30 comprised of current and former policymakers. So once again, you got current, former policymakers. They really can't come out and tell you the truth whatsoever. They're going to give you a watered down version. Go down some. It says the projected 15.8 trillion shortfall is adjusted for inflation. So the actual nominal dollar amount in 2050 will be materially larger, equivalent to 23% of the global gross domestic project, according to that 75-page report there. Then it says the G30, which includes Bank of England Governor Mark Carney, former Secretary Treasurer Timothy Geithner, Lawrence Summers, says mainly blame antiquated pension and retirement systems for the yawning financial gap. So basically old and outdated retirement models in general is the reason why they're saying, of course. But of course, it all depends on the very nature of the monetary system being the primary reason. It says, which it pegged at 1.2 trillion in 2018. So as of last year, they're saying because of an old outdated retirement system and the yawning financial gap between those that have a lot and those who have barely enough is the reason why that they're saying this pension system is going to be a problem. And then it says also in an era of low interest rates, of course. And so we all know that because interest rates are so low, return on investment is extremely low. Therefore, people got to become more risky with people's assets. Scroll down some more. It says a report which covers 21 countries, including Japan, Germany, India, and Mexico, accounting for 90% of the global GDP, said the coming crisis is not just about pensions. That's very true. It says lifetime financial security. So lifetime financial security for all those that are currently setting this money, currency aside now in current financial products is being offered, expecting them to grow in the future. Financial security, that's what's at risk. Also depends on the availability of public health, housing, and transportation service. All three things that the older generation are concerned with as they enjoy the remainder of their life. It says as well as informal community and family support. And it says here's some of their ideas on how they can resolve this. It says promoting higher savings by individuals and increasing taxes to support public pensions. How can you save more in a world where central banks are creating reserves out of nowhere to keep this thing together? And then on top of that, taxing people. Most people are already tapped out, so how are you going to tax them? Something to think about. And it says here's another thing. It says accepting that expected incomes in retirement may need to be lowered. So you were told if you set aside this, it'll grow exponentially. Remember the whole idea of compound interest? Compound inflation is what millennials should expect. And then at some point in your life, you'll be able to withdraw at the equivalent you made at that point in the form of your income for the remainder of your life. That's what we were sold on. That's what retirees were sold on. And we're witnessing how that's not the case. With all the things going on now, more and more, and from the story I shared with you just a moment ago about the gentleman just retired and now is driving Lyft, and he's worried about denture work, so he got to make some extra money. Right. It says a report working group, which includes UBS chairman, yada, 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 also called for action to reduce the administrative and asset management costs borne by people saving for retirement. So basically saying that the carekeepers of these accounts, the people who are responsible for managing these funds, the fees are so high that it makes it very difficult for funds to sit aside and grow because of the maintenance aspect of it. So they're saying perhaps we should lower our fees. That'll help. Good idea. And then goes down more, gives you more idea as to how corporations, they initially shifted the idea of pensions onto the people by creating things, as it says here, going from the defined benefits to defined contribution retirement plans like 401ks. So basically shifting the burden from corporations to the people themselves. And then it says what makes this even worse. It says it has not worked out well for many individuals either. It's once again, the very concept of being able to put your funds in somebody else's possession and they'll operate in your best interest to grow it long term. It's all a corporate ploy, in my personal opinion. So basically, to wrap this up, just as you guys can see there, they can tell you the problem night and day. They can give you the problems all they want. They can tell you exactly what's going on, shortfall this, not enough income, low interest rates. Those are the very same people that are responsible for creating this problem. But the solutions they give are not viable as well because they're ultimately shifting the burden and responsibility onto the younger generation, or they're telling the people that are expecting those promises that, hey, things may not work out well. We got to adjust some things by offering you a lower monthly payout. You need to save more, or perhaps you might think about getting a second income in your retirement years. And of course, this subject matter doesn't relate to every baby boomer because some people probably have been more proactive and actually being more attentive to their own personal matters outside of the other stuff, products and stuff that was sold to them. But on average, as it says here, most people aren't really in a position to be able to sustain themselves outside of the information they were told would be there for them. And so, as you can see from this looming crisis, when you got world leaders, world people that's been in charge of our financial system for the longest time, coming together, putting out surveys, trying to come up with solutions, that lets me know there's a major problem. And so, one of the things where it's unfortunate, but that's how this thing is going. And so my goal is to share information with you, give you a heads up, and then more importantly, if you're aware of the crises that's currently underway, what are you doing about it for yourself? I mean, you are responsible for your own livelihood today and tomorrow. Don't put that responsibility on somebody else and expect not to be disappointed. So with that being the case, thought I would just share this information because it's something on my heart, and being around people of the older generation sparked me to just share this. But I'm curious to find out what you think. 15.8 trillion, is that just a friendly number, or is it a lot worse probably right now? And on top of that, if things are coming, what else are you doing yourself? So that was just some thoughts worth thinking about. Other than that, leave your comments down below. If you found this informative, share the video, share the article, whatever, give it a thumbs up, and get this message out there, because once again, I'm surrounded today by a lot of people who may not know, and I can't go up to everybody saying, here, read this, listen to recent, it's just not ideal. But share this information, tell your family and friends, at least they'll know. But other than that, I'll see you guys later. Enjoy your day.